Bill Anderson, the Executive Director for MECED, former graduate of the UNC Charlotte Masters of Education program and also the doctoral program in educational leadership. And we're here today to talk about celebrating the 40 years of the College of Education at UNC Charlotte. I have three wonderful guests with me today: Dean Mary Lynn Calhoun, Dr. Bobby Rowland, and Dr. Barbara Edwards. As I said earlier, the college just celebrated its 40th anniversary, and I'm hoping that Dean Calhoun can tell us a little bit about the college today.
Thanks, Bill. The College of Education at UNC Charlotte is in a very exciting place. It's now one of the largest and most vibrant colleges of education in the state. There are 47 colleges and universities that do professional education work in North Carolina, and UNC Charlotte is the second largest of that group, of those 47 colleges and universities. Last year, we recommended about 700 new teachers for the North Carolina teaching license. And we have close to 7,000 alumni teaching in North Carolina's public schools. Right now, we have about 3,100 students preparing for careers in education across baccalaureate, master's, and doctoral programs. And we feel a particular mission in supporting the schools in our region, the 13 nearest school systems, and a particular focus on urban education. We've gotten lots of signals about our success, including a ranking this year by U.S. News and World Reports as one of America's best graduate schools in education. And our graduate programs in counseling and special education have been ranked in the top 20 nationally. So we have wonderful students, dedicated faculty, and are working hard to meet the needs of communities and schools and families and students and young people and teachers. It's a great place to be, and the 40 years of good history have brought us to this place.
Well, I think back to my time here in the master's program and also getting my doctorate in educational leadership. I think back to how much the college has grown. I think about the college back in the early 80s to what it is today. And Dr. Rowland, I was wondering if you might be able to share with us some of the stories of the old buildings and how much...
I can even go back further than that. I came in 1969, and when to hear Mary Lynn talk about the size of the college now and the number of students we have, I'm not good with figures, and I've never, I've been always one to exaggerate, but the truth of the matter is, I think on campus, students and faculty alone, when I came, was about 2,500, about the size of some of our high schools. And the first place that I had an office, and I use that term loosely, it was in, the buildings were called A, B, C, and D. Very fundamental. And we think that D might have been Denny Building. And in the Department of Education, which is what it was called, there was an office for a dean, fairly large, but not too big, and a common area. And in the common area, there was one secretary, one telephone for 4 faculty. Not in your office. We didn't, in those days, they didn't think faculty needed a telephone. They didn't think faculty really needed much space. And the room I was in had no windows, did have a door, though. You could get in or out. And I think there were like 4 faculty people. So I came just as we were moving in from a department to a college, and as we became the College of Human Development and Learning, I think maybe the next year. So very small space, very easy to get to know your faculty members.
That's just amazing, though, when you think back that there was one phone for 4 faculty members.
Yeah. I think the dean eventually got his own phone. We thought that was a real accomplishment.
Well, Dr. Edwards, maybe you could share with us, as an early faculty member going back to 1976, a professor of reading, and you've also collaborated with former professor Jeff Pass in writing a history of the college. Could you share with our viewers today some of that history?
Sure. It was one of the reasons I came here was for people like Bobby to be my colleague, and because the kind of curriculum that was described for undergraduates was so exciting and so very different. It's very different from what it is today. It was good then. It was controversial.
Very controversial.
Very controversial curriculum.
We were really a few years ahead of our time. A lot of people didn't have a clue about what human development actually meant. I'm not even sure they understood learning. But
Well, you know, I'm sure being controversial like that, there are some individuals that really stick out.
yes.
Could you share with us some of your former colleagues and faculty members?
The way we were organized as faculty groups in what had become the College of Human Development and Learning by the time I got here, we were in interdisciplinary teams. And there were 3 or 4 of them when I came. So I was the only reading person in my team, in my task force it was called. And there was a kind of a science-oriented person and a kind of human development and learning-oriented person named Bobby Rowland, and a kind of a curriculum theory-oriented person. And we all had our specialties, but we all were expected to spread our wings and be more than what we had been educated to be, which was very exciting to me and very challenging and not a little bit scary. You know?
Yeah, they literally called us generalists, yeah, with a specialty.
When I was asked to teach a graduate course in curriculum theory, and I'd only had one myself and was terrified of the professor the whole time, I went right back into that space of terror and excitement, but I had people to learn from. So faculty members were learners all the time, very much expected to be teachers and learners. And we taught courses that blended teaching and learning. We expected our students to become teachers and learners at the same time. Some of the memorable people, George Antonelli would be one. Frank Parker would be one. He was curriculum theory and science ed. John Chase was certainly memorable.
Really
you should talk about John Chase.
John Chase was the first dean of the College of Human Development and Learning. He came armed with the background at Chapel Hill. He had been he had a curriculum theory, which I always seem to get. I always say that it was like a slinky. It's like a slinky, and it had various phases. And I still see the phases in the college today, in the College of Education. It had an exploration phase, which stayed part of everybody's journey or everybody's movement that they might make, whether it's in a major or an issue or a project. And then it had what I call the second phase, which today Barbara and I were discussing it, and I think we finally decided that was called involvement.
I think so.
And that meant a lot of participation with people from outside of the college. So always there was a focus on the community and a community of learners. And then there was the phase of commitment. Then once you in your program had explored and gotten yourself involved, what were you willing to commit to? And then the final phase was universality, where it meant you felt that you had something that was valuable to the education world, to the learning world, to children, adults, as the mission of the college is written today. So I still see that curriculum model as a foundation for how this College of Education actually evolved.
And any memorable individuals that come to mind when you think about that?
Well, yes, like I said, I wanted to make sure that I highlighted Dr. Chase. And there are 2 I want to mention, Wilhelmina Rollins. And Wilhelmina Rollins was an African American, and she was also had a background in special education. So in those task forces that Barbara was talking about, that's when we began to see that we needed to go beyond what was identified as education for K through, did we have K? Kindergarten in 1969, K through 12, but into special needs and inclusion, and we didn't use those words. And Wilhelmina Rollins came as a representative of that. And Almeda Rippey, whose husband was at Johnson C. Smith, and she came with the reading component. So there we were. We had a priest, we had a nun, we had a preschool teacher, we had a special ed, we had a reading.
Doug. We had a psychologist.
And
Doug.
we had Doug Powers. We had a psychiatrist. We
right.
all needed him. And but truly, yes, we've started diverse. I think the college is still diverse and still attracts people.
And Bill, one of the people I remember, not as a faculty member, but I remember a student who came through the spiral curriculum, and and thrived in it. Not everybody did. For some people, it was too much push for individual decision making, and they were too young, they weren't ready. And others simply thrived. I'm thinking Melinda Mast thrived. She was your advisee, but I shared with her in education.
She's working now in the North Carolina Pre-K program with the Division of Child Development.
But there was a student who was my advisee, and in this spiral curriculum, they could choose to do student teaching during the commitment phase, and then had some universality courses to finish up afterwards. But they had an internship before student teaching that we insisted at that time not be in a school setting. We wanted people to have a broader perspective on the helping professions. This student I'm thinking of got into student teaching, called me about 2 or 3 weeks in and said, "Dr. Edwards, I hate it. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. I don't want to do this. I want to be with children. I don't want to be disciplining them. I don't want to be grading them. I don't want to be with them this way. What can I do?" And she was sobbing. And I said, "Tell your cooperating teacher you need to come talk to your advisor and come see me today, and we'll figure out something." Because at that point in that program, they had a choice. They could go into a human service area, or they could go into teaching. And even as late as student teaching, they could make that choice. And we simply changed her placement, figured out something else. She loved it. I think she went into recreation, Parks and Rec. And she was still there 20 years later. She called me and said, "I'm so glad I did this. I'm so glad I did that program, but I'm so glad I channeled in a different pathway." And that was memorable for me.
Bill, that's a wonderful story, and I would really hope that we are that responsive to the needs of individuals, even in a different kind of curriculum these days. But as we think about memorable faculty in the early days, while I'm sitting next to Bobby Rowland, I just need to underscore not only Bobby's contributions from the beginning, joining the faculty the year before we became a college, but two of her colleagues that I think, along with Bobby, have connected our college to the community and the state in remarkable ways. And I'm thinking of Sister Mary Thomas Burke, who was a Sister of Mercy, a doctorate in counseling from Chapel Hill, who was a founder of our graduate programs in counseling, and a great leader in terms of applying the knowledge of the counseling profession and practice to needs in the community, pioneering in reaching out to groups that needed that impact from the university. And Dr. Johnny McLeod.
I was going to mention Johnny next.
Who passed away this summer. Johnny was a groundbreaking pediatrician in our community who came to our faculty because she believed that she needed to prepare the next generation of human services professionals, and not only taught human development courses, but helped our students connect again to people experiencing challenges, challenges with addictions, challenges with AIDS, parents and children who were struggling. So 3 great women that I hold up in my heart as founding pioneers for our work in the college.
And for our viewers, Dr. McLeod also started the McLeod Centers here in Charlotte to help young people and people that weren't so young with substance abuse, and was quite successful. Well, when we talk about changes, let's talk a little bit about the names of the college. The name of the college used to be the College of Human Development and Learning, to the College of Education, and Allied Professionals to the College of Education. Can you talk a little bit about those changes and what those mean?
Sure. I think those changes in name reflect our evolutionary history as a college, and all are honorable and describe who we are at that point in time. The College of Human Development and Learning reflects the work of the early days, where the faculty were considered generalists and the preparation programs focused on universality of the helping professions. So schools were one option, but there were others, and the focus of specialized disciplines was not particularly important at that time. As we evolved and grew and became increasingly aware of the need for the university to connect with P-12 public schools in North Carolina, that mission became more sharply focused on the needs of schools. And our programs became more focused to the professional education programs that include teachers and school leaders and counselors and child and family development specialists. So that name change of College of Human Development and Learning, and we certainly are still grounded in human development and learning in our work, but to the College of Education and Allied Professions that says, yep, we do education, but we do a lot of other things too, to the College of Education that says our core mission is to prepare great professionals to support schools and communities, families and young people.
Yeah, I want to say, as we became the College of Education, even though we do have maybe a focus that is more deliberate in the child and family development component of the program of which I'm connected, it still has that aspect, which all aspects, I see this in the elementary and secondary and special needs, counseling, that notion that there are different paths you may take, but there is a strong focus on having those credentials that you need so that you can be seen as somebody outstanding in your profession. The doors are still open to you, different pathways. I find our students everywhere. I find them in community colleges. I find them in child care centers. I find them in elementary schools. I find them as principals. It's just, as somebody like you, you're one of our students. You unfortunately never were in my class, but
I've heard about you.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm talking about, trying to make the connection, but to me, the college is still connected and
unified whole.
And it's very unified. And
yeah, Bill, as we think about changes, I think there's one other change that I'd really like to emphasize, and that is, along with the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, our college has grown in the size and scope of its mission. And in the year 2000, we were reclassified from a master's comprehensive university to a doctoral research university. And so our research mission has become stronger. We are charged as a college to add to the knowledge base of our fields, to figure out new solutions to the pressing problems of schools and communities, and with a particular focus on urban education. So that's been an important evolutionary change for us as well.
Would you like to talk a little bit about some of those commonalities between then and now?
I would love to. Just as I've been listening to my colleagues talk about, for example, Mary Thomas Burke, Sister Mary Thomas Burke, Johnny McLeod, and Bobby Rowland, what they brought that has stayed, Bobby mentioned, that I see, is that emphasis on teachers are more than an academician with a set of tools that are just going to blindly follow a curriculum. Teachers, counselors, principals are thinkers. They're problem solvers. They are researchers in and of themselves. And I think that's always been there. It's become more focused because it needed to become more focused. But an interesting commonality that I was thinking about, when I came, we were in the interdisciplinary task forces, and now the college has five academic departments.
That's impressive.
As departments became part of our organization, people maintained the interdisciplinary spirit.
Right.
We didn't become the towers that some campuses talk about. So some departments, all departments have multiple kinds of programs in them, whether it's master's and doctoral, or whether it's undergraduate, master's, doctoral, or graduate certificate programs for people coming back to become teachers and not necessarily doing a full master's, but not repeating an undergraduate program. People still cross-pollinate. They want to talk to other people. The people that teach elementary education want to talk to those that teach secondary folks, want to talk and work with special ed, want to talk and work with counselors. Something I always valued so much about this college was the spirit of cooperation and collaboration among its faculty.
And I think that's still very much alive today.
I think it is too.
And I think that's really one of the strengths of the college. And as Dean Calhoun talked earlier in the show about the growth of the college and how many more students we have today and how many more opportunities students have to earn specific degrees. Can you talk to us a little bit about how the college is celebrating this 40th anniversary?
It's wonderful to think that we've been doing this for 40 years and that we have a very bright future ahead of us. To celebrate the 40th anniversary, and that the college was created in the 1970-1971 academic year and implemented the next year, so this is actually our 40th anniversary. We have established a campaign called the Looking Forward campaign that will bring the college to its next wonderful chapter. The Looking Forward campaign will honor great educators, will celebrate the college's 40 years, and will help the college grow to be what it needs to be now and in the future. We have had a number of birthday parties for the college throughout the state, and the next couple of years we'll have some more parties, so I hope the alumni and friends of the college will be on the lookout for invitations. We are inviting gifts, philanthropic gifts, that will move this fairly new university and fairly new college to the level of our more established peers. A couple of wonderful gifts that have come our way recently are an estate gift from the late Mr. Nicholas Gudis of $2 million to establish and increase the Gudis scholarships for teachers of English and mathematics, and a lead gift from Mr. Ike Belk to establish the Belk Distinguished Professorship in Urban Education. That professorship has been filled this year by an exciting young scholar named Dr. Chance Lewis, who will really direct our research around urban education. So that's a way that we're growing. Let me tell you a way that we're honoring great educators. Another special gift to the College of Education has come from Mr. John Cato and the Cato Corporation to create a beautiful work of art, a sculpted brick teaching mural outside of our new College of Education building. And that mural will capture images of the transformational power of teaching. And donors are invited to make a gift of $1,000 or more to honor by name a teacher that's impacted their lives or the lives of their children. And those names will be permanently inscribed at the mural site. So we will begin construction in January and hope by next summer to dedicate this beautiful work of art with the names of great teachers. If people are interested in finding ways to honor those teachers, I encourage them to go to the Looking Forward website on the College of Education homepage. We're not only naming those teachers, but we're collecting the stories of those who honor them, and those stories will be permanently available in a variety of ways. I believe that our next generation of great educators who will walk by that mural every day and see those names every day will know that the power of educators goes forward from generation to generation. That's the kind of future we're building.
Well, that being said, there's no profession greater than that of being a teacher. And I'm afraid that in our society today, not all people think that way. Not all people see the profession of teaching as being such a valuable and critical profession. What are some things you might say to our viewers as we get ready to close this show about why it's so important to all of us to support the profession of teaching?
You want to start?
That's a huge and important question, Bill.
We don't have that much time, but it is a huge and important question.
If we didn't have teachers, who would teach the children? Who would teach the adolescents? Who would work with the middle schoolers that give their parents fits, for example? Right. Teachers lay the pathway for the future.
Yeah, what I first thought about when you said that are the standards that we have now.
Yes.
They talk about leadership. They talk about the student that you teach, whether it's young or old or what.
Yes.
The fact that they have the basic knowledge that makes life really full of issues, full of solving problems, full of having the good life. I could go on. That's another program.
Teachers give children and young people a future.
Absolutely.
And give them hope. And if a young person or a career changer is exploring careers and wonders, what can I feel good about when I get up in the morning? Where's their meaningful work? Where can I make a difference? I don't think there's a better answer than the teaching profession.
And what UNC Charlotte is doing with the College of Education, with the Looking Forward plan, the Looking Forward program, is we want people to look forward.
Yes.
We want you to think about, it's not just about today, but it's about our future. We want young people to choose this as a profession for teaching. We want them to go into teaching and stick with it. It's critically important. And I just feel so honored to be here with such renowned educators. I'm humbled. I got a great education here. I hope that we can continue pushing forward and looking forward with great educators for the future. Dean Calhoun, would you want to leave our viewers with any specific thoughts?
I want to thank our viewers for being with us today. Visit us on the website or at our college, our brand new, lovely College of Education building, and let's talk more about the future of teaching and the future of education.
And I'd like to thank Bobby, and I'd love to thank Barbara very much for coming out today. Thank you very much. Anything you'd like to add as we sign off today?
I'm just proud to be here with these people who are, you know, I have a bit left them. I still have an office here, but I'm not here often. And then Barbara's left. So here, you know, we still want to keep Mary Lynn together.
I'm so glad I chose teaching as a career.
Me too.
I started teaching at 19 and never looked back.
Wow, you beat me by 2 years. I thought I was young. I started at 21, and there is no greater profession. There's
not.
no greater reward than being in the grocery store, and that student that was in your classroom 30 years ago comes up to you and said, "You made such a difference in my life." Well, we do hope that you've enjoyed this show. We hope that you'll continue to support UNC Charlotte and the great work of the College of Education. The campaign is called Looking Forward. We do hope that you'll come and visit the campaign and help UNC Charlotte and promote to our community the importance of public education and education in general. Without great teachers, our democracy is in peril. Thank you very much for being here with us today.